Chapter 12. The Revelation. Okay, here's the thing. First, we will go east. The Grand Temple lies there. We will search there and make our way south and search the market area, Marie said while walking. I nodded to her plan and walked beside her. Marie walked at a decent pace, so it didn't take long for us to reach the main street of the market area. We turned right and headed straight for some time before turning left. Soon, a great building came into view from a distance. I kept my sight affixed to it as we walked towards it. After some time, we entered a large open area. Ahead of us lay the Grand Temple. We stand before the Grand Temple. Let's look around to see if your parents are here or not, Marie said. I nodded. We looked around and behind the temple, but, as I knew, we couldn't find my parents. Better check inside the temple as well, Marie said. We entered the large doorway of the temple. People were going in and coming out through it. There was an aisle, which led to the worship area up ahead, and at both of its sides lay benches. Some were occupied while some lay empty. I looked up and saw that the ceiling was at a great height. Above the aisle and from the ceiling hung 5 huge candle chandeliers at regular intervals. It perplexed me how they had been hung from such a lofty ceiling. The workers who have done that must have had the ability to fly, I thought. Speaking of flying, birds had made their nests on them. A few birds were flying near the ceiling while singing. Glass windows with crisscross bars were made high in the left wall, which allowed some sunlight to enter the temple. The right wall was adorned with giant murals depicting gods and some great events of the past. We slowly walked on the aisle and moved towards a worship area. After some time, we reached the end of the aisle. The worship area lay on a large platform, which rose a few feet above the ground. Except the priests, nobody is allowed to enter in there, Marie explained while jerking her head to point towards the elevated platform. I stood at the front of the platform and observed the worship area. 5 idols of gold, as huge as a normal man, stood in there. 3 of them looked feminist. These are the gods and the goddesses that we worship, Marie said, pointing at the idols. She then explained to me about each of the idols and told me what they represented. A long, oblong altar table with white cloth atop lay in front of the idols. At both of its sides stood tall silver stands. Each of them held a lit candle. On the altar table lay 5 silver platters and glasses with colorful rubies embedded in them. I saw that 4 priests were there in the worship area. One of the priests was adorning the platters and glasses that lay on the altar table with fruits and water, and the rest of them sat cross-legged in front of the idols in deep meditation, their backs turned against us. Near the feet of each idol burned a bunch of incense sticks, which tainted the air with the sweet aroma of flowers. Marie joined her palms of her hand together and bowed her head, her eyes closed. I did the same. After a few seconds, I opened my eyes and saw that Marie had too. Then the priest, who had decorated the altar with fruits a few moments ago, came to us. "Hello there, little Marie," the priest greeted. "Oh, hello, Mr. Darrow," Marie said. "How is your grandmother?" the priest asked. "She is fine. She is at home taking rest," Marie replied. The priest nodded and blessed Marie by tapping her head with a small golden staff he held in his left hand. Marie bowed to the priest. "Who is your friend, dear?" the priest asked. "Oh, he is Frank. Grandmother found her in the market area this morning. He is lost and separated from his parents. I am helping to reunite him with his parents," Marie replied. "That is one of God's works you are doing, my dear," the priest said. The priest then moved towards me and tapped my head with the staff. No sooner he had done that than his expression changed. His face was filled with horror and worry. "Son, I see a mist of something evil surround you. You must be very careful because something bad will happen to you soon," the priest said. He then closed his eyes and uttered the word, and continued to stretch it as long as his breath would allow him. When he became silent, he opened his eyes and said to me calmly, "The gods are with you, my child. They will help you on your quest." With those words, he turned, walked to the other priests, sat cross-legged and joined them in meditation. The gods would help me on my quest. Did the priest know why I was here? Did he know of my mission of getting rid of the curse? I stood there for a few seconds and brooded over that question. Then suddenly Marie said, "Are your parents here? Have you seen them?" I turned to her and shook my head. "Then we would better take leave of the temple and head west to search the market region," Marie said, and we left the temple. After some time, we were going through a maze of streets in the market region. Keep your sight keen. It would be very easy to miss, Marie advised. The streets turned left and right so frequently that after some time of tracking them, I gave up. I was now blindly following Marie. The market is huge, and if we want to search every inch of it, we must make some haste, she said, and increase her pace to a jog. I struggled to keep up with her close behind. The market was so huge that by the time we finished searching every part of it, the sun had reached the far-flung horizon in the west, suggesting the imminent dusk. I hadn't expected this. We should have stumbled across your parents by now, Marie said, shaking her head. Maybe tomorrow we will be in luck. We will get your parents tomorrow, and I am certain of it, Marie said. I nodded in agreement. After a pause for some time, Marie said, Since you don't have any place to go, why don't you spend the night at my house? I shook my head slightly and said, I've given you enough trouble. I don't want to bother you any more. Don't be daft. We helped you because we like to, Marie said. But, I tried to say, but Marie cut me off and said, No buts. Frank, you are spending the night at my house, and that's final. It was a kind of order, and I knew better than to disobey it. Soon, we were heading towards a residential region. After half an hour, we reached the front door of the house. I stood there and observed the surroundings while Marie unlocked the door. The natural light had failed completely, and in every window of the house shone the light of a lantern or a candle. On the street, people were passing by carrying lanterns in their hands. One of them called out in her way, Hey, Marie, how are you doing? Marie whirled and said, I am doing fine, Judy. Good evening. Good evening to you, too, said Judy and passed. Marie then turned her attention back to the door. She unlocked it and pushed it open. After entering, I saw that the front room was illuminated with golden light. My eyes then found the source of the light. There were 3 lit candles held on a stand, which lay in the middle of the round table. Maggie had moved from the upper floor and now lay on the settee on the left. Is that you, Marie dear? Asked Maggie while getting up from the settee. Yes, it's us, grandmother, Marie replied. Took you quite long. Anyway, did you find Frank's parents? Maggie asked, now in a sitting position on the settee. No, grandmother. We searched the temple region, and we searched the whole market region, but Frank's parents were nowhere to be found. I have told Frank that tomorrow we will find them for sure, Marie replied. After a moment of silence, Marie said, I have told Frank to spend the night here with us. I then immediately said, I don't want to be a bother to you, ma'am. First, stop calling me ma'am, and second, you need shelter over your head for the night. You have nowhere to go except here, so why don't you make yourself comfortable here for the night? Maggie said, Okay, Mrs. Curtin, and thank you. I don't know how to repay you for your kindness, I said, joining both hands together in respect. There is no need to repay anything. Helping troubled people is a work of God, and I am just doing that. Maggie explained generously. I don't know about you two, but I am starving. I'm going to go cook something, said Marie and hurried to the kitchen. Come, Frank, sit yourself down on the chair. I would like to know a bit about your village, your house, and your parents, Maggie said. I obeyed and sat on a chair beside the table. I then started telling her everything about my village, house, and parents. An hour had passed when I finished telling everything to Maggie. Judging from your words, your village seems to be an interesting place, Maggie said. I nodded. Your father is a blacksmith, you say. He then must have taught you how to forge weapons, Maggie said. Yes, but I am still learning. My father says that my skills are improving, I said, and tears ran down my cheeks. What happened, dear? Why are you crying? Maggie asked. It's nothing, Mrs. Curtin. I am just missing my parents, I said. Maggie got to her feet and walked to me. She then patted my back and said, Don't you worry, dear. You will soon see your parents. I nodded and hoped for the same. Maggie went back to take her sitting position on the settee. Then we continued to talk lightly. For the past few minutes, I had been smelling something delicious being cooked. Soon, we were interrupted by Marie. The dinner's ready. Frank, I'm going to need you to help me serve the plates, said Marie. Sure, I nodded. After Marie and I had carried all the plates to the round table, We prayed for a minute and began to eat our dinner. It was vegetable soup and bread. I dunked the bread in the soup and ate it. The dinner was delicious. I ate until my stomach could take no more. By the time we were done, there was still some food left on the table. I pushed my plate and said, "I am full." Marie said, "Well, more food for Jimmy and Julie." "Jimmy and Julie?" I asked. "Come with me, Frank. I will introduce you to them," Marie said. We stood from our chairs. Marie took plates and headed for the front door. "It is dark outside. Better take a lantern, Frank," Marie turned to me and said while jerking her head towards the right of her. I spotted a lantern lying on the floor in the left corner of the front door. I quickly grabbed it, carried it to the table, and lit it up with a candle. When I turned my attention back to Marie, I saw that she had already opened the door and was now bending to take the plate she had placed on the floor. I hurried to Marie and exited the door right after her. It was dark out, but the lantern illuminated a small surrounding area. When we were on the ground and near the street, Marie started to make weird sounds, her head looking about as if trying to find something. What is she doing? I thought. In a few seconds, from the left, far on the street, I saw two pairs of gleaming eyes coming towards us. The eyes bobbed as they moved closer. The hair behind my neck rose from fear. "It looks dangerous, Marie. I think we should move back into the house," I stuttered. "Don't be so coward, Frank. You won't be harmed," Marie said and continued to make weird sounds. I stood there and saw those spooky eyes moving towards us. A slight fear was surging through my mind. The curse is still active, so could it be a creature from my imagination? I thought. Soon, whatever it was, entered into the area of light cast by the lantern, and I saw the host of those spooky eyes. Instead of some nocturnal monster with 4 eyes that I had been expecting, there were 2 white dogs. I took a breath of relief. Wagging their tails, the dogs came near us. One of the dogs sniffed me while the other one stood on its hind legs and tried to reach for the plates Marie was holding. Marie raised the plates and teased the dog for a few seconds before emptying its contents on the ground. Both of the dogs then started wolfing down, their tails wagging continuously. Holding empty plates in one hand, Marie bent down and patted the dog. "These are Jimmy and Julie," Marie said. I nodded with a smile. "They are siblings. Their mother died when they were little pups. Since then, I've been feeding them regularly," Marie said. "Oh, I see," I said. "Aren't they the cutest things in the whole world?" Marie asked. "Yes, they are," I agreed. When the dogs had finished eating, Marie stood up and said, "Good night, you too. See you in the morning." With that, we started walking towards the front door. The dogs made a whining sound behind us, as if they didn't want us to leave. Marie turned and waved at them, and with that, the dogs stopped whining and disappeared again in the darkness. We turned back to the door and entered the house. "Did you make acquaintance with Marie's Julie and Jimmy?" Maggie asked me while sitting up from her chair. "Yes, Mrs. Curtin. They are very lovable," I replied. Maggie nodded with a smile. After Marie had finished cleaning the plates, all 3 of us sat in the front room and chatted for some time. Marie controlled the conversation most of the time. Maggie rose from the settee and said, "Okay, children, it's late. Time to go to bed." Maggie turned to me and said, "Frank dear, I hope that the settee will be comfortable for you for the night." "Yes, sure, Mrs. Curtin," I replied. Soon, all of us readied ourselves to go to bed. Marie had already gone upstairs. Maggie stood at the bottom of the stairs and said, "Keep the candles lit, dear, and have a good night's sleep." "Good night to you too, Mrs. Curtin," I said. Maggie then slowly climbed the stairs and disappeared from my view. An hour had passed. I was wide awake, lying on the settee, my eyes staring at the shield above, my mind thinking of my mission to stop the sorceress and bring back my parents. Tomorrow I will leave this house and head for the castle. I will contact King Chan and warn him about the misfortune that he will bring upon himself if he goes to the battle against King Duye to conquer the Yellow Lotus, I said silently, trying not to wake Maggie and Marie from their sleep. According to Randolph's diary, a few kilometers of the area around my house, which was called the Yellow Lotus, was rich with an abundance of gold and silver. There was enough gold and silver in there that the treasuries of 3 large kingdoms could stay full from it for 7 centuries. The Yellow Lotus was ruled by no monarch, and thus was a free land in 1380. Why King Razum, the grandson of the dead King Juye and who rules Kenro in the future and in my time, has not set up any dig site around that rich area to mine the wealth that lies beneath. Why does that piece of land in Kenro lie barren without any people except my family? Does my king know about the terrible curse that plagues the land? If he knows about the curse that his grandfather put on the Yellow Lotus, then why did he own it in the first place? Maybe the king didn't want such a wealthy piece of land to go to waste just because of some curse and must have been seeking a way to lift it. Do the folks know about the curse too and shun it from mentioning it in public? I asked myself. Soon, those questions swirling inside my mind made my eyelids heavy, and without knowing, I drifted to sleep. I had been hearing a scurrying sound in my sleep for the past few minutes. When the sound intensified, I opened my drowsy eyes slowly. What I saw was enough to freeze me in bed with horror. Above me, a black, ugly spider, as huge as a chair, was descending from the ceiling with the help of its web. I tried to yell, but my voice failed. The spider slowly moved down closer to me. Now, it was close enough that I could smell its foul breath. It was a monster from my imagination. The curse is trying to kill me again, I thought. Suddenly, I remembered my trusted companion, and without attracting too much attention from the spider, I slowly tried to reach for it in my pocket. The spider gave a sound of hissing with its loathsome saliva drooling over my face and neck. I was lucky that the saliva wasn't fatal on touch. The spider slowly and threateningly opened its mouth wide and prepared for the attack, but I had already retrieved my knife from the pocket and now lay on my chest held horizontally in my right hand. Both of us were ready to attack each other. Whoever drew the first blood would survive. With a flash, the spider lunged towards me, but with a quick reflex, gripping the knife tightly, I thrust it into the eyes of the spider and made a series of blows afterwards. Blood splattered all over my face and onto the shirt. The spider fell on me on my chest, and I quickly shoved it hard with both hands to my left. The spider was heavy, and its wounded body was sent flying, hitting the round table hard and knocking it to floor at the end of its short flight in the air. The candles, lying atop, crashed down, and the room abruptly plunged into darkness. The table had made a loud sound when it had fallen. Maggie and Marie would surely have not missed it, I said to myself. The spider gave a whine of pain before going silent. Is it dead? I said to myself while getting to my feet. I slowly made for the front door. I must leave before Maggie and Marie know about it, I said while groping about. No sooner had I taken a few steps than the knife started to quiver. It didn't shine. For some reason, my knife was slowly becoming heavy. Then I again started to hear the sound of scurrying. Soon, the room was bathed in golden light, and the first thing I saw was another spider crawling on the ceiling, moving towards me. I raised my knife, and to my astonishment, it was no longer a knife. I was holding a long battle sword. I touched the edge and found it to be as sharp as those of the silver and iron swords that hung on the wall. The sword now gleamed with red color. No sooner had that happened than the spider, which crawled on the ceiling a few meters away from me, made a ferocious lunge towards me. The time slowed down, and I could see the spider slowly fly towards me, its jaw wide open, ready to bite my head off. I held the sword with both of my hands above my head vertically and waited for the right time. When it had reached half a meter from me, with all the force that I had, I brought the sword down in an arc. The sword sliced the spider into 2 pieces. The pieces flew past me from both sides. The time had returned to normal. I immediately whirled and saw those 2 sliced pieces wriggling in pain. They soon went still and disappeared in the form of green vapor. I looked at my right hand and found that the sword had gone. I was again holding my knife. A voice came from behind me. "Frank?" I whirled and saw Maggie and Marie standing on the stairs. I quickly tucked the knife in the pocket and hid it from their sight. I now knew the source of the light that illuminated the room after the candles had gone out. It was a lantern being held by Marie. They must have seen everything that would happen after I had killed the first spider. "What is going on? Frank? Why are you up this late? And what happened to the table? You swung a sword in the air a moment ago. Why? And how did you do that, changing a sword into a knife?" Marie asked in one breath. Marie and Maggie were not stuck in the curse, so they would not have seen the creature of my imagination. The moment had come now, the moment to leave the false shelter of lies and disclose the truth.